Okay, so Black Clover has just dropped a huge reveal. We get to see the country that Asta washed up on, as well as the people that are from there. So if you can whip out your grimoire and use your mana on that like button, I greatly appreciate that. Without further ado, let's get into the video. After Asta was snapped away by Sister Lily, everyone had to presume that he was donezo. And that left Yuno to be the final threat to Lucius's plan. We then see that Asta has washed up onto a distant land and is found by one of the people there. Now, chapter 337 starts off with the Black Bulls at the hideout after they had came back from a survey mission. And we see the usual Luck and Magna are going at it as always. Fight back, nigga! And Noct comes back to give them the news. Yeah, he just comes out and says it. He says Asta is dead. He explains the events that went down leading to Asta's disappearance and says that it's reasonable to assume that he's dead. Although he actually doesn't believe that he's dead, which is actually pretty smart considering there were witnesses seeing him getting snapped away with spatial magic. He says he won't believe it until he sees the body with his own eyes. And of course the rest of the Black Bulls agree on that. All in unison, all together.
The power of friendship.
It's nice to see they got their boys back like that. And with that being said, they go out to see if they can find him. Fortunate enough, we see that Asta has regained his consciousness. He wakes up somewhere unrecognizable. Bro thought he was in the back rooms or something.
Oh hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
A doll then comes into the room serving him tea. It's all clinking around like a machine. This is something you see out of iRobot. What's going on here? Bruh. And then Asta mistakes it for Charmy. Not gonna lie, it does kind of resemble her in a way. And the person that rescued him reveals that it's his tea serving doll. And he's revealed and we see that bro looks a lot like Yami. The dude looks like he could be Yami's brother or something. They look a little too alike.
We're brothers.
Asta of course doesn't know him, so he's confused as to why he knows his name. But he suddenly realizes that his wound is healed, which is pretty interesting, as it's stated there, but only Mimosa could heal this wound. You would think that someone like Mimosa would be able to heal like something like that, or someone who has healing magic on par with that. So it seems someone on that land has healing magic or recovery magic of some type that's on par with hers, or maybe even surpasses it. The man says that he didn't heal him, it was his friend. Asta notices that Leibe is missing, and so he asks him where he is. He points out that one of his friends is fixing him up at the moment. Asta's then surprised the fact that he knows about devils, which gets him even more intrigued. Like, he's like, who are you? Who? He proceeds to ask him if he knows Charmy, and then he of course states that he hasn't met her, but he's known Yami since childhood. So he's a day one, okay. And Asta's just shocked at this. He's like, whoa, you're childhood friends with Yami? And then he also realizes that their key is pretty similar. Although he states that he last saw him when he was 13. So yeah, that was quite a while ago. And even that long ago, he was taking them longo dumps. Because he asked Asta, and then Asta's like, yep, he still does it. But Yami never switched up. He stayed the same since day one. He and Yami must have been real close considering he goes into detail about his mannerisms here. He says he's always got this mean look in his eyes, acts real violent, and is quick with his hands. Then Asta's like, whoa, he was like that as a kid? And in that same panel, we see his friend here, and I gotta say, she looks pretty similar to Sekre. Not sure if there's any relation there. Could just be a coincidence, but I'll keep my eye on her. Asta realizes that they've been talking for quite a bit, and he thanks him for helping him, says he has to get going. But the guy here says he doesn't need to be in such a hurry because he still has to recover. Yeah, it's probably the best idea. I mean, although there is only like 7 days, Lucius said, for the judgment, but can't necessarily just go back in there with his injuries. And what's interesting here is he knows exactly what happened to. He says you got your heart broken and were nearly killed by both the person you love and the man you viewed as your goal. It ain't a pretty sight to behold, which is wild. He knows it in detail. He even knows the relation between them. Like, that's crazy accurate. And then Asta's like, wow, how do you know all that? And we get a pretty interesting reveal here. He taps his eye patch and says that he can see whatever he wants to. None of that, but he further says that his eye also tells him that he would definitely lose if he were to return now. And that's definitely an interesting ability, because not only is it future sight, he can also oversee events that take place a very far distance from where he is. So I'm assuming he could just observe events that happen over the world. If so, that's a pretty useful utility, not gonna lie. On top of future sight, I mean, yeah, you can forget it. That's pretty broken. The man states that it's not like he can get back home with his own powers anyway, which I was thinking he could probably fly home on his sword, but then I remembered like he wouldn't know how to get back, because I mean, if he didn't know how to get there, then of course vice versa, right? So that makes sense. His friend then proceeds to open the door there, and the land that they are on is now revealed. The land of the sun. And this is of course a country that's distant from the Clover Kingdom. And he finally reveals himself to be ryuudou or ryuuya. And he's actually the shogun, which is actually pretty interesting. That alone tells me that he's at least Wizard King level. Because if he's the shogun of that land, he has to be able to protect it, right? Also considering the ability that he revealed, that was just the gist of what he can do. So I already know that he has a lot up his sleeve. There's definitely a lot to unpack here. Proceeds to tell Asta, you've come yourself all this way, so right here, right now, get yourself a power. Now that's what I wanted to hear. So it seems as though maybe he's gonna train him, or he has someone who he can train with, or someone who can give him abilities. Although considering the fact that he only has 7 days, I mean, there's not much he can really do. But I guess in the last arc, he did achieve double unit in a short amount of time, so maybe he can do something equivalent to that on a higher scale in this instance. Definitely am interested to get more into this country and see how everything goes here, because this is an entirely new environment. It's funny because all the memes about Asta washing up on a Wano is actually somewhat true, because like this is like the Black Clover equivalent to Wano. But yeah, this is definitely interesting. I can't wait to see more characters that are revealed or more events that unfold. Alright, well, a lot was revealed this last chapter. Definitely interested to see what's revealed going forward. Well, if you made it this far, I appreciate you sticking around. Go ahead and annihilate that like button. I'd greatly appreciate that. Consider subscribing if you enjoy my content. You'll like it here, I promise. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.